This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories, and welcome to my review of Andor's Death Star arc. This is supposed to be called the finale arc, but ultimately I decided to call it the Death Star arc because, well, it's leading into Rogue One, so you know it's dealing with the Death Star, and, well, it's the primary focus of this. Although the name's only said, I believe, twice in this, and it was just, it was just absolutely incredible. I just genuinely could not believe just how great this Andor arc was. And well, I think last week's was just slightly better. This was still just, it was just truly amazing. Looking at this season as a whole, best episode has to be episode 8, but episode 10 and episode 9 are very close behind that. I need to rewatch episode 10 specifically to be able to make a final decision, but episode 10 is really close to passing episode 9. It was just absolutely, just brilliantly done, absolutely heartbreaking, and, well, it was just incredible. Now, to start with it, I'll go again by storyline instead of by episode, since, well, the storylines are just a lot easier to follow, and really, there's really only one main storyline throughout this, with a few other reviews to the side, and that is just the exposing of the fact that the Death Star does exist, although they don't have all the information on it, since Cassie doesn't have all that in Rogue One, and them going and trying to get really just get Leia out of Coruscant, and trying to convince the rebels that this is at least something worth looking into, which is also consistent since they're very questioning of really everything during during Rogue One, and even when they are shown that it's real, they still don't know if it is worth the risk to go after it. So I do think them being very hesitant, this was great. And just going through the first storyline, which is going to be the flashback, wasn't super clear what Luthen was doing. I think that he is most likely a former Imperial soldier, and he went and just couldn't take the atrocities that the Empire was doing and went to betray them. Although, again, he might have been in a different group, but I think that's most likely what they were trying to say. That he was an Imperial, he had a conscience, and he just couldn't deal with what the Empire was doing, especially with them going and seeming to have slaughtered a village. And I just honestly love the fact that he went in and raised Clea. Their relationship was never super clear. We just know that she was loyal to him. And when we learned that she was raised by him and she really just looked at him as a father, it was just such a heartbreaking moment when she had to kill Luthen. And and just going through it, it was just absolutely incredible to go and look at it. I think that the flashbacks worked really well, and just seeing the relationship build up, them most likely on Naboo, that's what it looked like, going and bombing that Imperial area, and Luthen basically making sure that she was fully committed and that she was, knew everything that was going on before, and even wanted to protect her from going and committing these murders herself, even though he just wanted to test to see if she was willing to make the decision. That just entire storyline was absolutely amazing, and I think it's great that we see Luthen at the end of his story, where we get to see his beginning, and just going through really everything with him. He didn't have too much besides that because he gets told by Lonnie about the Death Star, and Lonnie's absolutely terrified. So with it, Lonnie goes and he tells Luthen, he's like, "You need to protect me and my family." He's like, "Yeah, yeah, sure, I'll send you Yavin." And then he just kills Lonnie to make sure the loose end has been taken care of. It was just, it was just heartbreaking and really just a very Luthen thing to do. I fully expected Lonnie to die in this, but I thought he would die most likely by the ISB, but no, he was killed by Luthen, and it was just absolutely tragic for him. And then Luthen going, Dedra confronting him, and her doing his basically off book, her just wanting to do whatever it took to get rid of Axis was it was just a incredibly intense scene, and she went in there not doing things the smart way, and through that, Luthen managed to fatally wound himself, and she tried to keep him alive. Although, like I said, Clay goes and makes sure that Luthen dies, and it is just absolutely tragic as Luthen gives his life for this cause. He makes sure that he isn't able to go and be broken and to give them anything. I felt like he was going to die in a shootout or something, but it just makes so much more sense here where he goes and gives his life to make sure that he can never be used. And it was just absolutely expertly done. I absolutely just love the scene where he's talking to Dedra and he's basically like, "Oh, this is one of the only artifacts that we know are has a chance that it could be fake." He has it; it's a knife, and Dedra's like, she's just playing the game, and she's like, "I got you," and he's like, "Yeah, I know you got me, but I'm gonna take myself out before you could do anything." And the absolute panic she has there is great, and then just the fact that she's being held responsible for going and committing some treasonous acts to go and make sure that she was able to identify Axis by accidentally getting Death Star information and not reporting it, and her using that to try and go and find Axis was ultimately her downfall. Krennic was really disappointed. He's like, "Yeah, you're either a spy or you're just an idiot, and if you're not a spy, well, you have perfectly set yourself to become one." And I just loved that. It was amazing. I think that her getting just this absolutely brutal fate at the end where she doesn't die. She gets sent to Narkina 5 and has been imprisoned by the Empire for betraying them was just absolutely amazing, and seeing her just get what she deserves for going and committing the genocide of the Gormans, even though that's not what she is being executed for, or not executed, what she's being imprisoned for. She's being imprisoned because she learned about the Death Star, and well, unlike the other people in Arcana before, she knows that she's never getting out. Even if they have her number on there, she knows that she's in this prison indefinitely and she'll be sent to another one. And I don't even know if she would want to be killed because I feel like she's just completely broken. It's an absolutely amazing fate for her, and it's one of those things where they go and you're like, oh, you think his character's gonna die? It's like in the Penguin, Sophia's fate, where you think Oswald's gonna kill her, and he goes and does a much more cruel thing and puts her in prison. Something that she just really, really hated, and returning her to that position, and having Deidre just go and have to be imprisoned and have just her entire view about the Empire fall apart as she realizes that she's just expendable. They don't care about her, and really, anything she does doesn't matter. But yeah, honestly, just continuing through it. Next, I'm going to talk about briefly is Partagas, and basically just it seems like due to the fact that he caused such a major blunder where he had one guaranteed spy and one person who was at least grossly incompetent. He was also going to be imprisoned for gross incompetence, but he just didn't want to deal with that. He knew that he was completely screwed, and he goes and he allows himself to just end his own life on his own terms, and he ends his own life himself. This is a scene that is just absolutely just really well done. It if suicide is depicted in Star Wars, this is how it should be done. Someone who genuinely would have given up all hope, someone who isn't a Jedi that would be completely out of character for them no matter what. And instead, it's someone who was completely evil and was going to be facing imprisonment or even execution. And he decided, I'm just going to end my life on my terms. And I was just said absolutely brilliant. Also going into just a little more, I think that another absolutely just amazing thing of that was executions was the scene where Clea goes and watches that execution, and Luthen tells her, get out of here, and she doesn't. She watches it, and it just fills her with even more rage against the Empire. She sees a kid killed, and it was just, it was just brutal and just extraordinarily well done. I mean, just going through the rest of the Imperials, the that one team getting absolutely obliterated by K2 was really amazing. Just seeing so much of the ISB being absolutely destroyed, it was just really great. And honestly, thinking of it, this is what I was kind of thinking in the scene. I was like, hey, well, they're not gonna show Vader, but I'm almost certain where Partagas was going was a conference room that Darth Vader was waiting for him in and was probably gonna execute him. And I think he would just much rather die by blaster shot than be strangled to death by Vader. Now that's not what they're saying is gonna happen, but honestly that's kind of my headcanon, and I think that's absolutely perfect. He knows that he's gonna be escorted down, and I think that the person waiting for him would have been Vader, and he would have executed him just for as I said, like gross incompetence. But yeah, honestly, I'm just going to the rest of the Imperials. Don't think there's too much more to talk about. It was it was just really, really great to see them, and I just absolutely just loved how even though the Empire is still winning this, they're still building the Death Star. They at least got rid of Luthen, and they are and they weren't able to capture Clea, but they still have that Death Star ready, and well, they're eventually going to have it destroyed, but they're in a position where they most likely would have won in this, but they still lose by just having all these characters that we specifically got to see. They get just absolutely obliterated. That one Imperial might be still alive. I didn't fully show him. It sounded like his armor did hold, and he was alive when K2 threw him, and it didn't seem he threw him as hard as people on Gorman were. So maybe that guy's still alive, but he was still probably executed again for gross incompetence. Now let's talk about the character fates of the more ambiguous characters, ones we didn't really know the fates of. And it just seems that Woman is just a part of the rebellion now. He continues to fight on and maybe even lives to see the New Republic. The same thing seems to most likely happen to Vel, who also survives, and although we don't know what happens to her, we can assume that she most likely will make it into that era. Perrin does seem to have found a new person to be with. Seems like he might be cheating on daughter, his daughter's husband's mother. His I can think of the term from what's already sister-in-law, but it does seem like it's happened. It feels like they were pretty close in that scene, and it doesn't just seem like they were just kind of hanging out together. It does seem, well, at least what I was told is that was I don't remember her, but that was the mother of Lita's husband. But yeah, honestly, just looking at it, it's just a really interesting to see that, and I do wonder if we will see Perrin again because I feel like it'd be interesting to see him return. But I don't know if he's not written by Tony Gilroy. I don't know if we plan to see him, but it still would be interesting. And just going through it, he's kind of cheating on Mon there, where technically they are still married, although Mon is in hiding. And the final characters that we didn't really know too much about was something I did call Bix was pregnant, and she did have a kid with Cassian, and we see it at the end. I was likely to get to see that B2 is going to live his happy life. He just loves Amina Rao. He is able to run around and be happy, and it just truly what he deserves. B2 is the absolute best, and I'm glad he got a good ending. Well, a tragic ending, and I think Finny, if he was uploaded into K2SO, I still like his ending here a lot more, where he gets to be happy and he really just gets to live his life happy really forever. And I think we eventually do see, in some way, we see what happens to Bix and Cassian's kid. Well, Vix and their kid, because both are still there in B. I don't know if I mentioned this last week or if it's something that came up after, but I'd love like a post-credit scene or something where we get to see Mon going up to Bix and asking, "Was this worth it? Was Cassian's sacrifice worth it?" And her being like, "Yes, yes, it was. We were free now." This would be set after the fall of the Empire, so I think it would just be a really great thing to see. It does look like they had a son, so I do wonder what the character's name will be, and I think it'll be revealed eventually. But yeah, just going through this, it's time to move on to the major stuff, and the two most important characters of this being Clea and Cassian, and just how they were both just absolutely perfectly well done. Now going to Clea first because again Cassian is the main character of the show. Her story absolutely brilliant. Cassian doesn't even appear in the first episode of this, and just seeing her backstory with Luthen, which I already touched on already, but seeing that it was just made so much more emotional as she is first told about everything, and she is basically just forced to watch as everything goes wrong. she watches as Luthen is captured, and she knows that she has to go and finish him, even though he's on life support. She has to make sure he stays dead so he doesn't go and betray the rebellion under torture. And she finishes this job. She kills the person who was essentially her father, and it was just such a brilliantly tragic scene. I think that it was just incredible as she's breaking up there, and while everyone's breaking up with her, she is forced to kill this just absolutely incredible character and just an incredibly complex person. And it was just such a great scene. And then from that point, she just really has no purpose. She just wants to get this message out, and she just wants to die after that. She really doesn't care what happens to her as long as she manages to tell someone this is uh this is what happened and this is the information needs to be passed on. And it's Cassian basically forcing her being like, no, you need to come with us. You need to, tell the story, and it's not because they need her to tell the story. They know the story. They just need her to come along because he cares about her and doesn't want her to throw her life away because she's depressed that she had to kill her father. And I said, absolutely just incredible. I really loved it, and just her kind of being knocked out at the end. I was just so glad, she did manage to make it through because I felt like it'd just be too much if she died because I feel like she just deserved to live. I feel like she had so much more to do, and I'm so glad she did make it out. The just everything it was just expertly done. I I just absolutely loved it, and her having this just rivalry with Vel that was kind of always there at the end. Vel goes and finds her, and she's like, "Yeah, this rivalry doesn't need to exist any longer. I know you need help," and she goes and gives it. It was it was expertly done, and I just love at the end where she just takes her into her home on Yavin, and she makes sure that Clea is stood up well before she goes to confirm everything to Mon, and I just absolutely loved it. Oh, and speaking of Vel, I just love that scene she has with Cassian where they just talk about everyone who's died. They talk about how like Ferrix was killed, at least in a way of the community there. Although we don't get fully confirmation of what happened to it. We also see that there's just so much more that happens to make things crazy. I just loved it. I think that it was just really great to see. And as we talk about Clea, Nemec, Sinta, we see the people of Aldani, the people of Gorman, the people of Ferrix. Really, everyone had to suffer these great atrocities, and ultimately they are still there. They're still fighting, and they need to continue on this fight. It was just really really great. I also with Val, I love how she was told, kind of like, you just find him, get him to tell you, and she just straight up tells Cassian, Mon needs me to hear it from you, and I just need to make sure that Luthen was telling the truth because of how much doubt the rebels had in them. And it was just really great, but really just finishing up with everyone else. I said that was a great scene. I love that conversation, and Belle's just a really great character, and I do hope we get to see more of her. Now, going into some more random thoughts. Before I go to Cassian specifically, I think that again it was just incredible to see. I really, really thoroughly just enjoyed everything. It was such an interesting story, and I think it's that it was just truly incredible. But now going to Cassian, he doesn't even appear until the second episode of this arc. It's his show, but he doesn't even get an appearance in the first episode of this. And starting off with him, there's just that absolutely great scene is him, K2, and I can't think of the guy's name right now, but the other rebel from Rogue One, he's going and they're going and playing this game. It's just such a fun scene, and then have Wilman running in with all the information, and I'm telling Cassian, Luthen's in trouble. We need to go help him, and Cassian's like, we'll go do it. And it was just honestly, it was just really great as they go on this mission. I'd love to see a little more from Wilman in this because I feel like we don't really see him again, and we don't really as we don't know his fate, but we do know his fate of Melchi. There it is. I knew it would come to my head, but we do that Melchi would also die on Scarif, and it was nice to see them together, show that these two are friends, and well, now he knows his real name since he only knew his fake name that he gave in Narkina. And, well, again, just go back to Deidre thing, because Narkina's minded now. Absolutely just brilliant what happened to her, and I love how she winds up in the same place that Cassian did. I love even more if they shared the exact same cell, and that's also what I'm gonna assume happened. But going back to Cassian, honestly, it was just truly amazing to see him in this. It shows that him going and disobeying the rebels, and that really isn't a one-off thing for him. He is a very rebellious rebel and doesn't like listening to them. And the only reason he's ever sent out again and been not punished is because they have a contact that only wants to speak to him, and that's the person he meets in Rogue One. He kills him and then goes into everything with Rogue One. Really excited to watch that movie again, and I'm watching it soon, but I do have work decently early tomorrow, but still want to get this out tonight because of just how much I love this, and I just need like 20 minutes to kind of let this set in before I went and started recording because it was just truly that incredible. Oh yeah, him going to Coruscant, him well with K2 and having K2 go and just wipe out those Imperials was great. Them having that nice, great, friendly relationship and expanding on it more was really incredible. But also them not being able to fully use K2 because of how expensive he is, and just going through it, I really really enjoyed Cassie in this final arc as it's pushing him closer and closer to his end. As he really is going towards his fate, and it's just great. I just really love everything. The Coruscant storyline as he is just trying to play it out of there, and I've really talked about all of that already. We're talking about his final stuff as he talks to the rebels and tries to convince them. It was truly great, and him just interacting with everyone. It was truly, truly amazing. I like that. Also, when Bail kind of goes and gives him this mission, it's shown that they don't really like each other too much. But I love that they saved that. May the force be with you for the end. I did see people talking about it last week and saying maybe he should have said that to Mon Mothma, Bail Organa, but I just love that it's one of the final lines of dialogue of the show. Besides K2 talking to him, it's the last line of dialogue someone says to him outside of like Rogue One characters, and it was just great to finally hear that in it. I think it was just a truly incredible. I genuinely love this, and it was just a absolutely perfect finale. Wrapped everything else up perfectly and sent them directly into Rogue One. And I can't wait to rewatch that. I'm gonna try to figure things out. I'm gonna see if I could, if I'm gonna be able to rewatch it with someone and then see Rogue One right after, or if I'm just gonna watch Rogue One on its own. But yeah, it's just truly great. And one thing to be clear is, I know there's some confusion with this, but one BBY is the events that lead up to the Death Star showing up on Yavin. Once that shows up, it's basically sort of a gray area, and it's basically zero BBY is literally just the Battle of Yavin, and then it goes to one ABY right after the Battle of Yavin ends. But or zero BBY would literally just be the Battle of Yavin, and it really doesn't exist. But yeah, just going through this, absolutely just amazing. Let's go take a look at the bingo card, and then I'm gonna head out because again I have a decently early start. And looking at this one, we have hmm, a few more that weren't on it, although this one didn't get a bingo. We had an honor parametrating man by him basically cheating on her, Luthen's identity being exposed, Luthen dying. We are seeing Luthen's backstory, and I think that's it from the new ones I added onto here. And while it was close, sadly it was taken out by Deidre not really having a new torture method, unless you count the one that's put on herself, by both Cyril dying and her being sent to Narkina. And the Vader cameo also didn't happen. But I did make a second card, and that one did get a double bingo, so let's take a look at that one. And this one we have two straight across ones. One with Cyril catching to Cassian, Luthen's new speech, parametrating Mon, Bjorn having a cameo, and Luthen was backstory revealed. Well, I wasn't didn't make one. I did count Deidre exposing Lonnie since, in a way, she does. Lonnie going and using Deidre's files exposed him. Then we have the discovery of Yavin, Luthen dying, the free space, Gorman being an inside job, and Santa and Vel breaking up. Oh, and then there's also the Deidre and Cyril do it, and Luthen's identity being exposed and Cyril dying also tossed on there. But yeah, it's a fun bingo card, and although initial anime didn't get it, but I did make a second one, but I got a double bingo, so that's fun. And yeah, honestly, I wonder what you think. I should have a pool coming up. Honestly, I'll just drop it tonight. Why not? Yeah, I'm gonna have it out earlier and right when I have this video come out, so let me know what you think here, and vote on what your favorite arc of the season was on that poll that should be dropping maybe just a little bit ago, because I still have to make the thumbnail to this. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.